Hurricane Kiko in the last 24 hours has exploded in intensity, now up to Category 4 status on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. A very picturesque tropical cyclone moving off towards the west here across the open waters of the Eastern Pacific and may pose a threat to the Hawaiian Islands early next week. We'll have to wait and see on that though. Right now it's got winds of 130 miles per hour, pressure 955 millibars, moving due west at 9 miles per hour. We are low to mid code blue on Ticos for Kiko, primarily due to its Hawaiian Island potential impacts, what we might be seeing later on next week. However, though, it is still too early to determine what exact impacts might occur in the Hawaiian Islands, so then you need to wait for and watch for nonetheless. So here's where the storm is located right now, 13.9 degrees north, 131.6 degrees west, which is 1,600 miles away from Hilo, 1705 from Kahului, 1730 from Lanai City, Lanai, 1800 from Honolulu, and 1900 from Lihue, all of those in the Hawaiian Islands off towards the west of the storm. The hurricane is forecast to gradually weaken as it goes throughout the next 5 days, and should be down to tropical storm status as it moves through, if it moves through the Hawaiian Island nations, or the Hawaiian Island chain. We'll have to wait and see on that though. So Kiko is a very small hurricane as far as Eastern Pacific Islands go. That's probably why it's intensified this much in the past 12 hours or so. No watches or warnings are in effect, of course. But it is a very small and very powerful hurricane as it moves off towards the west-northwest here across the Eastern Pacific waters. Far away, thankfully, from any land areas, but major hurricane number 4 for the Eastern Pacific so far, with Eric, Flossie, that's a Pacific name as well, and with Kiko. So the main threat for the time being with Kiko is going to be rip currents. Anyone visiting any beachy areas in the Hawaiian Islands should look for their latest rip current statements and know the signs of rip currents if you do end up getting caught in one and how to counteract it. These can be fatal. For the time being, that is going to be the primary threat. As the hurricane gets closer to the Hawaiian Islands, we might be seeing those impacts start to ramp up, primarily into the late to mid part of next week. We'll have to wait and see on that though. Most models do take the storm very close to the Hawaiian Islands, so they need to watch over the next few days as the storm pushes off towards the northwest. Hawaii on watch. Keep an eye on Kiko over the next few days. So regarding the track forecast to Kiko, you'll see it coming in here just a second. We are forecasting Kiko to keep pushing off towards the west here over the next few days. Maybe some room for the storm to intensify over the next 12 hours or so. Maybe peaking with the winds of 145 miles per hour, weakening as it pushes off towards the South Pacific, moving into the Central Pacific still as a major hurricane. And you'll see the Hawaiian Islands start to come into frame here as the hurricane continues to weaken as it pushes off towards the west-northwest. You're down towards Category 1 status here. Maybe weakening a little bit further, but down towards a tropical storm maybe as it pushes through the Hawaiian Islands. We'll have to wait and see on that though. The National Hurricane Center's forecast cone reflects that, of course. Maybe some room for additional intensification over the next 12 hours. We'll have to wait and see on that. Maybe peaking with winds of 150 miles per hour. We'll have to wait and see on that though. I don't think it'll get close to Category 5 status though, given the environment that the storm is in right now. But we'll have to wait and see though. The Eastern Pacific has pulled surprises, and of course it has pulled a surprise already today. I didn't think that Kiko was even going to get anywhere near this strong that it already has. We'll have to wait and see on how strong it ended up getting though. So regarding the intensity estimates, they are in fairly good agreement that the storm is a major hurricane. ADT may be even just a little bit stronger, so maybe the storm is intensifying a little bit more than that. We'll have to wait and see though. Although SATCON and AMSU lagging behind though, a little bit behind the curve though, but still a major hurricane nonetheless. So here's what the GFS model run is saying there. You'll see those brief yellow stints that appears there. I don't have the correct color scale that Nathan has, unfortunately, just yet, as I've just got W3 just back. But those yellows that briefly popped up there, that is winds of 100 miles per hour. Of course, the GFS always tend to underdo the winds here a little bit. But certainly a very intense hurricane as it pushes off towards the northwest here. Still at hurricane status at that day 5 point right there. Still a hurricane there, maybe with winds of 75 to 80 miles per hour. So still an intense hurricane here, and something to take note of here, even for shipping interests over the next few days, even as it pushes off towards the Hawaiian Islands here. Looking at the rainfall threat, you can see just how small Kiko is going to remain. It's not going really to grow in size over the next few days. It might undergo an annual placement cycle. We'll have to wait and see on that though. It might have a chance of a secondary peak intensity too. I wouldn't even discount that even. But regarding the rainfall threat, the hurricane does grow a little bit in size towards day 4 and day 5, but still pretty small as far as tropical cyclones in the Eastern Pacific go by day 4 and day 5 here. as it nears off, as it gets closer to the Hawaiian Islands here. But certainly, you'll notice that there's not really a whole lot of outer banding with the storm either. That might be due to the drier issues in the area. We'll have to wait and see though on how the hurricane goes at day 4, day 5. Regarding the rainfall threat here, you can see that you can see very, very clearly on where Kiko is going to go. We might be seeing some isolated rainfall estimates over open waters here, up to 6 inches, and actually where the hurricane is going to peak over the next 12 to 24 hours, maybe up to 14 inches here, and be widespread 10 inches plus here across many of the oceanic areas, of course. So maybe something to take note for the Hawaiian Islands. Maybe as the hurricane gets closer, maybe we'll be seeing rainfall totals up to 6-8 inches here over the Hawaiian Islands past day 5 here. We'll have to wait and see though. It's got to get there first, of course. But certainly a substantial rainfall threat for the fishies for the time being. But we'll have to wait and see though regarding that rainfall threat for the Hawaiian Islands. Most models though do take the hurricane through the Hawaiian Islands, but of course it'll be a tropical storm by then. We'll have to wait and see though exactly what degree of impacts might lie in the Hawaiian Islands. We'll have to wait and see though. The hurricane has to get there first. But most models do tend to weaken the storm as it pushes off towards the Hawaiian Islands, mainly due to those cooler waters as well as an increase in wind shear as well. You'll notice that a lot of the models do tend to put the convection on the northern side of the circulation. That's mainly due to some northerly wind shear that we're going to be seeing past day 3, day 4. That's also going to quicken the weakening pace of Hurricane Kiko. You'll notice that the hurricane is going to be weakening rather slowly initially, but then as those water temperatures do decrease and wind shear picks up, the weakening rate will increase. So here's those waters right now. They aren't looking too favorable for the storm to really get itself going up towards Category 5 status. We'll have to wait and see though if it does. I don't think it will though. But you know, it's underneath water temperatures of 27, 28 degrees Celsius. So for what Kiko has done in the past 12 to 24 hours, it's doing pretty good considering the water temperatures as it's underneath. They do cool off a little bit in about 12 to 24 hours, although the hurricane is moving very slowly. So it's going to remain over those cooler waters, or those warmer waters for a little bit longer. We'll have to wait and see though. Surface plots aren't really going to be saying very much, but regarding those water temperatures, they do tend to drop off a cliff as it gets off towards the Hawaiian Islands. You can see, if you were to scroll past in the video, you would see it just off screen here. But those water temperatures do tank a little bit, especially as it pushes off towards the Hawaiian Islands. It's not very cold, or it's not very warm waters, I should say, in and around the Hawaiian Island. Now, if Kiko does pass the Hawaiian Islands, if it makes it past it, I don't think it will though. It will find warm waters on the other side of the Hawaiian Islands, but I think wind shear values will be too high to really support any additional development after that. So model resolutions do take the storm off towards the west northwest. HMON does take the storm off towards the north a little bit more than some of the other models here, but pretty unanimous agreement on the hurricane moving off towards the west northwest. Pretty good agreement in the track forecast here, has to be said. Maybe a little bit of a few outliers here and there regarding the track forecast, but the track forecast for Kiko is pretty much set in stone. Intensity forecasts, of course, they're hopelessly behind what the hurricane has been doing. HAFS may be suggesting that the hurricane might reach winds of 150, 155 miles per hour. We'll have to wait and see, though. It's still intensifying as I'm speaking right now, with an eye temperature well into the positives here, has to be said, though. Wind shear values are decent, but you can see they do drop off a little bit as the hurricane reaches the cooler waters, but once it reaches the Hawaiian Islands past day 5, those wind shear values do increase substantially, back up to 20 knots or more. So that will induce a quickening, weakening trend. Water temperatures are pretty good for the time being, but they're going to make a gradual decrease starting really 48 hours from now, 2 days out now, and relative humidity, of course, favorable across the board pretty much. I've seen worse relative humidity values for major hurricanes in the Eastern Pacific, so we'll have to wait and see on that though. So, satellite imagery of Kiko looks absolutely wonderful. Look at that. I've drawn comparisons to this hurricane to Hurricane Marie back in 2020. Although the eye isn't perfectly as shaped as you would expect from maybe Hurricane Dora back in 2023. It's like the eye isn't that perfectly shaped at that hurricane peak intensity, but it's got an eye nonetheless. It's got a pretty good eye. Although with the water vapor imagery in the area, well, the water vapor issues rather, those cloud tops aren't particularly high, has to be said though. But certainly a very beautiful hurricane here, and you can look right down into that eye and you can see those waters in the eye. That is very beautiful imagery there. Looking at the infrared, you can see the hurricane is trying to get those cooler cloud tops going. Maybe even cooling a little bit there in those latest frames. So the hurricane is still trying to intensify. Microwave imagery not indicating a vital pressure cycle just yet, so the Kiko is still intensifying as it stands right now. Look at the water vapor imagery, all those oranges to the northwest, that is a massive dry air pool off towards the northwest of the storm, and that is really what's preventing Kiko from really potentially intensifying anymore. Although with that being said, it is pretty decent that the hurricane has got to its strength that it has with those dry air and water temperatures as of right now. Hawaiian watch for Hurricane Kiko as it moves off towards the northwest. Earlier on into next week, Hurricane Kiko will arrive. Something to watch over the next few days in Hawaii.